So welcome, Charlie. This is actually one of our first times doing a live stream together, live stream podcast. Let's get started. So I assume people are watching, but I don't have any indication. But we can get started.
Tweeted out yet?
Yeah, let's let me check my Twitter. Let me make sure we do that. So if you're watching live, sorry for the late start. We are going to start chatting very soon. Okay. Here we go.
Oh, let me retweet it.
Okay. All right, modern technology, live streaming without seeing the audience. So Charlie, why don't you tell us where you are? So I'm in Las Vegas. Welcome to the Bobby Lee Bitcoin podcast live stream session with Charlie Lee, the founder and creator of Litecoin.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm in Taiwan right now, actually. There's a big typhoon right now. Today's gonna be raining really hard right here.
So I'm sitting here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we're across time zones and date zones. So we're here in the US, it's Wednesday evening, July 26th. And I believe in Taipei, Taiwan, it's already Thursday morning, correct?
Yep, I'm living in the future. It's 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Thursday right now for me.
Okay, so Charlie, thanks for doing this live stream. One thing is people are always surprised when they find out that you and I are actually brothers. Do you get that? Do you get that reaction, or is it just me?
Yeah, especially initially, like many years ago, but now every now and then people are still surprised.
Yeah, and tell me one thing. I've been eager to ask you. People confuse me for you. People come up to me and say they call me Charlie. Because they sort of recognize me, but then I think your name is more famous, so they call me Charlie. And I'm like, no, I'm not Charlie. I'm the brother, and Charlie, my younger brother, Charlie, is the one who does the Litecoin stuff. Do you ever get the opposite?
Every now and then. It's happened before, okay. Definitely.
So I get that a lot. I get that. I probably get that more than you do, which means that you're more famous than I am in the crypto space. Yeah. Okay. So what else? So we also have another sister, a younger sister. Her name is Vivian, and I bring that up because Charlie and I don't look exactly alike. But if you put Vivian in between us, and I look like Vivian, and Vivian looks like Charlie, you can see the progression in terms of I look more like my mom, and Charlie looks more like our dad. Okay, good. So what else? You want to introduce yourself, Charlie? How do you introduce yourself these days?
Well, I'm the creator of Litecoin. I've been in this space for what is it? Almost 12 years now. Actually, a little bit more than 12 years. And right now I'm the director of Litecoin Foundation. So working with Litecoin Foundation to help support Litecoin adoption and development.
Yes. And tell us what year you started Litecoin.
What is it? 2011, October of 2011. So Litecoin's having its 12th birthday this October.
That's right. Let's jump into that. I know you have a Litecoin cruise coming up. Why don't we quickly talk about that? Litecoin birthday cruise. It's the first ever, right?
Yeah, we're doing a 3-day cruise. Just to celebrate Litecoin's birthday and have like a bunch of people join and just have fun. There's not a lot of agenda, very, very casual, and just kind of like a get together for Litecoin fans. So okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to look it up on Google and give people the link.
Yeah, if you go to litecoin.net, which is our Litecoin Foundation website, you can find links to the Litecoin cruise.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's
So this is
October 13th is the Litecoin's birthday. I believe that's the day we get on the ship.
do you have the link to the actual cruise page? I've seen it before.
Let me check.
Litecoin, so we could for people who are interested can sign up for the cruise and tell us where the cruise starts from, what's the port, what's the cruise line, how much it'll cost, should people join, what fun activities. I know that Charlie, you and a lot of Litecoin Foundation people will be there, but unfortunately I cannot make it this October. But I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, the link is just litecoin.net/cruise.
All right, litecoin.net/cruise.
So it's October 13th through the 16th. We're going to the Bahamas, taking off from Florida.
Which port in Florida? What city?
Which port? It's
Miami
in Miami.
or Fort Lauderdale? Miami, okay.
We're taking the Royal Caribbean Freedom of the Seas. And basically you just buy a ticket onto the cruise and you can use our group booking to book with the group. But basically anyone can just get a ticket onto that cruise and join us.
Do you have to own Litecoin and be a Litecoin fan to do that?
No, you can be a hater and come on and protest if you want.
Okay, but I promise you that after the cruise, you'll be a Litecoin lover, right?
Yeah, we plan to onboard every cruise passenger onto Litecoin.
Yeah, speaking of which, we should make some special Ballet cards to commemorate the event. Maybe that might be an idea.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. So maybe we'll take it offline. Maybe we'll make some commemorative Litecoin cruise specific Ballet cold storage cards on there for people to join. That might be a fun thing to do. So again, it's on litecoin.net/cruise. It's a 3-day cruise from Miami, Florida on the Royal Caribbean. You said it's the what of the seas? Freedom of the Seas?
Freedom of the Seas.
Freedom of the Seas. So go to the website, you could book it. It's obviously not everyone on the cruise ship will be part of the Litecoin cruise, but we hope, I guess you hope a good number of people will be Litecoin party cruise, right? Party cruise.
I mean, we'll have some group events and stuff on the cruise, but mainly just going there to have fun and talk to you and meet people.
Okay, excellent. Sounds great. Good. So what else we're going to talk about? Let's see. So I invited you to do the live stream this time because of the upcoming Litecoin halving. People may know Litecoin also follows a halving schedule similar to Bitcoin. Just like Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin with a halving schedule of every 4 years. Bitcoin has already gone through, I think, 3 halvings. The next one being in May of next year, April, May of next year. And the Litecoin is about to go through its 3rd halving, correct?
That's correct. So we went for 50 to 25, 12.5. Now we're going to 6.25.
So today, before the halving, each new Litecoin block, of which there are how many a day? There's 4 times 144, right?
Yeah. So 700 something.
700, yeah.
No, it's like 576, something like that.
Yeah. 576 blocks per day, and each block is giving out 12 and a half new Litecoins per block. And after the halving, it's going to give out, what is it? 6.25?
6.25. Yeah.
New Litecoin blocks, yes. And let's see, what was I going to say? So this is coming up in which day? August?
I think in a week, August like 2nd or something.
Very timely.
There's a website I use, litecoinblockhalf.com. 6 days, 6 hours, 47 minutes. So August 2nd is the ETA.
What's the website name again? That you
litecoinblockhalf.com.
Litecoinblockhalf.com. Okay.
Yep.
BLOCKHALF.com. Perfect. I see it. Yes. So Charlie, as the creator of Litecoin, what is your take on the effects and the anticipation of the block halving? And talk about it from Litecoin's perspective, and maybe you can also share your perspective on Bitcoin itself, since Bitcoin will have a halving next year.
Yeah. So I can talk a little bit about the kind of the background. The reason why there is a halving is to is so that the supply, the eventual supply of Bitcoin and Litecoin is fixed, right? So for Bitcoin, it's 21 million. For Litecoin, it's 4 times that, 84 million total. So every 4 years, the amount of Litecoin being mined gets halved. So it's asymptotically reaches 84 million over the next like few hundred years, right? At the end of it, each block would produce like 1 Satoshi, or in Litecoin's case, 1 Litecoin, and then after that, there won't be any new mining rewards. And the idea is that at that point, fees will take over, right? There will be enough usage on chain, creating enough fees that the fees will be enough to pay the miners to continue to help secure the network. And Satoshi chose 4 years block halving so that it gives it enough time for the network to grow and enough time for the fees to eventually take over, right? If the block halving is done too quickly, like let's say
Meaning,
like
if
once,
all the Litecoins or all the Bitcoins came out too fast,
yeah.
that would
So
be a
if
bad
it's
thing.
every month, if the blocks get halved, then all the mining rewards would be given away too soon, and before the network has time to establish, and before the fees marketplace has time to establish. Actually, speaking of that, that's exactly what happened with Dogecoin. So Dogecoin forked from a fork of Litecoin, and they changed the
Yes,
mining reward to um
to go faster, right?
to have every, I believe it was every month.
Yeah.
And because of that, the network security of Dogecoin went down really quickly because the block rewards went down really quickly. And that was one of the main reasons why they needed to hard fork to switch on merge mining with Litecoin, so that the Dogecoin network wouldn't be easily attacked because it had the hash power of Litecoin network. And also one of the reasons why I stuck with Bitcoin's halving schedule, because I know Litecoin also needed the time for its fee structure to develop. Yep. So Litecoin follows Bitcoin exactly in terms of having every 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like how that affects the market, the idea is
Meaning the
that,
price, right? We're talking about the price now, price
sure,
of Litecoin
yeah,
or Bitcoin when it comes to the halving. Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
The idea is that the mining reward is what miners get paid, and miners, for the most part, sell all their coins that they mine right away to pay for their electricity. So they're just making profit off of that, the difference between what electricity they pay versus the amount of coins they mine. So most miners will need to sell the coins right away, otherwise, because they don't have enough money to pay for electricity and buy more miners. So if the number of Litecoins they mine gets halved, the selling pressure will be halved from the miners because they will be selling less Litecoins. And the buying pressure is the same. If the demand for Litecoin is the same, then the price should go up. If there's less selling and same amount of buying. And a lot of times in anticipation of that, the market would react positively before the actual event. Yeah.
So this
So
this
that's
is this is controversial because you know you and I have been in crypto since 2011, early 2011, and we've seen all these halvings, right? So personally, do you think the price rise or the anticipation? Do you think the price jump happens before the halving or after the halving? Because there's some anecdotal evidence that the price rise is actually more meaningful after the halving. What's your take? At least that's my opinion.
I don't know for sure. I mean, I think the fact that miners will be selling less Litecoin is the effect is quite minimal. I think the price, it's mostly speculation right now. So the price being what it is, it's mostly speculation, not less so because of miners selling So a lot of times the price would rise before the halving because people are speculating that it will rise after the halving. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And yeah, it's hard to predict. This year, Litecoin price has risen a bit before the halving, but I think not as much as the last halving, if I remember correctly. And a lot of times the market, like what's happening with the market, will override the halving kind of tendencies. So if if we're in a bear market,
you mean the broader crypto market,
the broader
like
like
Bitcoin and all the other crypto coins,
macroeconomics of crypto. Yeah. So Litecoin follows Bitcoin for the most part. So if Bitcoin's not doing well, Litecoin's not going to be doing well for the most part.
Yeah. Good. So with the halving, maybe we talk. Let me bring up this topic. Let's see. Yeah, should we talk about the Litecoin blocks, Charlie?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have I sent you the latest product photo. Do you have it? I don't know if it's are you able to get it onto your computer?
Let me see.
So I don't want to ruin the surprise. I'll let Charlie introduce it.
Give me 1 second.
So Ballet has been a strong supporter of Litecoin all these years. I'm the founder and CEO of Ballet. We started in 2019, a little over 4 years ago, and we make. I guess I should bring some out. Hold on, just a second. We make these cold storage cards, and I'm proud to have one of the Litecoin ones in front of me. So these are cold storage cards. This is a Litecoin one with a what do you call it? A configured Litecoin deposit address. And of course, we're making for Bitcoin as well. This one is in gold, our premium version in gold. So we have, Bitcoin's gold and Litecoin as silver sort of thing. And these are great, easy to use cold storage devices. And the reason I bring this up is because Ballet, we have been a strong supporter of Litecoin, and we partnered together with Charlie to offer something very special that Charlie has custom ordered. And I won't steal I'll steal the thunder.
Let me share the screen.
Yeah, see if you can share the screen, or maybe I need to give you permission to do that. Oh, there we go.
Can you
yes,
see?
so I see it. I think I see it. I see it. Yes, I assume the live people can see it as well. So go ahead, Charlie. Tell us about this, or tell me what you want me to talk about.
Yeah. So a few years ago, we did the Litecoin blocks for the current mining reward, right? So it was 12.5 Litecoin. So these blocks are basically Ballet card made by Bobby's company Ballet. They are pure silver.
So that's very special, right? So the ones we have earlier, I showed you, these are stainless steel. The regular one's stainless steel, and then the premium one is stainless steel, but it's gold plated, 24 karat gold plated. And aside from these, we've never made them in precious metal. But this one, Charlie, is actually, like you point out, it's actually real fine silver. It's 999 fine silver.
Yep, it's 50 grams of silver with a Litecoin address on it, a private key inside under the hologram. And what we did is we mined Litecoins straight from a block to one of these cards, right? So one of these cards has a full Litecoin block. Previously it was 12.5, and for this year we're doing the new block rewards, which is 6.25 Litecoins on each block.
And that's post-halving, after next week.
Yep. So after next week, we're partnering with Litecoin Pool for them to mine straight from their Litecoin pool to these cards. So each card would have one full Litecoin block. The special part about these blocks is the Litecoin will have no transaction history. It will come straight from the pool. Yeah, and it's a
full block reward plus Litecoin transaction fee. So it'll be 6.25 and change, right?
Yep. Plus it's on a silver card. So even if Litecoin goes to zero, it will still be worth the price of silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a very cool collectible. I plan to actually send these cards to PCGS to have them encapsulated into a slab.
Yeah, slabbed.
I can actually show, let me see if I can find a picture of what I've done with one of the cards,
Okay.
the previous cards.
Okay.
Yeah, and sell them as a card
Collectibles.
inside, as a collectible, right? It'll be
Yeah.
about like $1,000 per card, depending on the price of Litecoin at the time. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we'll have more information about that and how you can purchase them.
Okay. As Charlie looks for those photos, I'll just add a few more points.
Oh,
So
and
if you
one
can,
more thing. Sorry, one more thing. All the funds is going straight towards to the Litecoin Foundation to help support Litecoin.
yeah. So this is a nonprofit. This is a nonprofit foundation that Charlie, you are the executive director of. So this is not a for-profit project. So as Charlie's looking up the photo, I'll just show you quickly. This one I have in front of me is not the Litecoin block, but rather the Litecoin cold storage card that Ballet offers. Okay, it's called the Real Series, Real Litecoin. But this one is made of stainless steel and not pure silver. But the point is that on the back side, where there is a memo field, normally for the memo fields for our customers to write down whatever information they want in terms of how they use it, what they store on here. But for the Litecoin block, what's something special is on the bottom, we will also laser etch the actual block number and the block reward in LTC units for that specific Litecoin block. So each card, each Litecoin block card in pure silver will contain a full block reward, as Charlie said. It will have a specific and unique block height as is naturally mined by the Litecoin pool. And it'll have a very unique Litecoin reward amount. It'll be 6.25 blah, 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 blah LTC. And that will be laser etched on here correctly. So each Litecoin block will be unique and be part of history, right? To own this. And it's a collectible. So Charlie, you want to tell us how many you have available for sale? Are you going to sell this publicly?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be selling this publicly.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll have 500 units. 500
units. And then has the price been determined yet, or is it floating, or how's it going to work out?
It'll be about $1,000. We'll see. So, I mean, we might have a few that we auction, like the first 20, 21 or something. And maybe I'll sign a few of them. I haven't decided yet. And then we'll sell the rest at a fixed price.
Good. And then you should also keep a few to sell on the cruise or give away awards or something for the birthday cruise so people can see it in person. That might be something fun.
Yeah. 1 second. I found a picture. Let me share it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it should be ready by the actual Litecoin cruise.
Yeah, for sure, right?
We'll
The mining will finish in August, mid-August, and then
maybe take a week or two.
And then you said that this time around you're going to have them encapsulated by PCGS, right? These are actual sort of formally, what do they call it? Slabbed by PCGS.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, PCGS is a renowned. Oh, there we go. That's perfect. It's a renowned.
It's a renowned grading service for rare coins.
Yeah, and the picture here is the Litecoin block from 3-4 years ago, back in forgot the year 2000. Sorry, 2020. Okay, 2020. Yeah.
So it says there's 12.5 Litecoins on it.
Yeah, there's actually more than 12.5, right?
Might be slightly more because of the fees.
Yeah.
So
it's 50 grams pure silver. It's one block, and then the block height and the amount is actually on the reverse of this, so we can't see it. But this container holder actually is see-through. You can see both the front side and the back side. And if you scan the QR code, that's an actual Litecoin address, and you can see it on the blockchain.
Yeah, I mean, you can scan it now with your camera or with your phone. Yeah, so yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool collectible.
And by the way, just the size, it's the size of a credit card. Okay, So I'm holding in front of my camera here. It's the size of a credit card. So even though that photo, it's hard to tell the dimensions, but it's the size of a credit card. So obviously the container is quite large, the
Yep.
PCGS holder.
Yep. Cool. Let me
Yeah.
stop sharing.
Okay. And let me just add a few points about these Ballet cold storage cards. Okay. So the one that Charlie showed, the Litecoin block, and also this one I have in my hand, the Litecoin cold storage card, they utilize the same technology. This is a patented technology that Ballet has invented. It is a open industry standard. It's called the BIP 38 industry standard. So just to make a small correction, make a clarification rather. So on this card made of stainless steel, and there's a sticker. There's a very nice silver-looking tamper evidence sticker that's reflective, and also on the bottom here, there's a strip, like a lottery scratch-off strip. So if you use a coin, you can scratch it off. It will reveal some numbers that are laser etched onto the card. So there's two pieces of information on this card. Okay, part A, if you will, is behind the sticker. If you peel it off, part B is behind the scratch off. Okay, so just to be clear and clarify for everyone, the private key is actually not behind the sticker. Okay, but rather the private key is actually generated once the user, the customer, peels off the sticker and scratches off the passphrase thing here, and then uses the BIP 38 algorithm to decode and sort of generate the private key for the first time. Okay, so one of the concerns people have with Ballet is people wrongly assume that Ballet, the company, retains or has access to all the private keys to all the cold storage cards that we sell and give out. And that's actually not true, because Ballet doesn't, because the private key has not even been generated yet. Like this card, for example, the private key for this card does not exist in the universe, because as you can see, the sticker,
it's never seen the light of day. Right.
Well, it's not even never seen the light of day. It doesn't even exist, right? So there's a clarification. So if something has been created, you could hide it and it doesn't see the light of day. But this is even better because it doesn't have it exist yet. So think. I like to use this analogy. I'm not sure it's perfect. Such as, so think of human reproduction or animal reproduction. You have the sperm and the egg. Okay, so you don't have the embryo until the sperm fertilizes the egg, right? You learned this in biology, high school biology, right? So it's one thing to say, oh, the sperm has fertilized the egg, but the embryo has not seen the light of day, right? In that case, in theory, someone could have seen the embryo. But in this case, the sperm and egg have not even been fertilized yet. So we don't know. We don't know what it looks like. No one knows what it looks like. Ballet doesn't know what the private key looks like. Charlie doesn't know. The Litecoin Foundation doesn't know. Bobby Lee, I don't know. So that's why that's what's amazing about this BIP 38 technology, is that we can generate these two pieces of information, the two entropys, and we can put it onto this card using what we call two-factor key generation. Part A is done in China. Part B is done in the United States. The entropy of the data is in two separate countries. They never mix. They never mingle. They've never been fertilized. We don't know what the private key is until the customer peels it off, scratches it off, and uses BIP 38 compatible software to combine the two to generate the private key for the first time. And that's the first time the universe has seen the private key. And they're using the private key, they can then sign the transaction to move the coins off of this card.
So what's crazy is that with cryptography, you can actually send coins to the public key without even ever have seen or generated a private key.
There you go. So, okay, Charlie is very expert at this, okay? So let me repeat, okay? This is the magic of BIP 38 industry standard. This is invented by Michael Caldwell, the creator of the Cassasius coin, and this is 10 years ago. In fact, in November of 2022, we just celebrated the 10-year anniversary of the BIP 38 standard, okay? So once again, from using BIP 38, we can have the two components always be separate and never be mingled and create the private key. Yet we can pre-calculate the public key and the deposit address. And this is using ECC, elliptic curve cryptography. So from the elliptic curve cryptography algorithms from the VIP38 standard, we as in the technology is able to determine the final deposit address and the public key without having actually generated the private key. And this is just nuts. Yeah. And by the way, Charlie, when I founded this company Ballet 4 years ago, Charlie was one of my key sort of advisors. And we even though Charlie's not officially part of the Ballet organization, Charlie has provided me with very strong support, and we bounce a lot of ideas off of it. Maybe Charlie, maybe you can share your perspective from 2018 2019 as I founded Ballet.
Yeah, I mean, you were really into crypto collectibles initially before that with BTCC, right? You can talk a bit about what you did, like the BTCC coins. I mean, they're modeled after the Cassasius coins. Yeah, I mean, those were really cool too. You also did like a set of poker chips.
Yes.
And other things. Yeah, so once when you want to start this new company, Ballet, I thought it was a really cool idea of doing. I think the two-factor key generation is quite unique, and a lot of people in this industry don't really get it. They think that it's bad to put your coins in a private key generated by someone else, right? For the most part, that's true. Like, but there's a lot of rugs in this industry. A lot of,
and
like,
by rugs, what do you mean by that? You have to explain that.
Coin makers, physical collectibles. The coin makers generate the private keys, and then they sell the coins with the Bitcoin on it, Bitcoin on Litecoin.
And these are, to clarify, these are coin makers that generate a one-factor private key, where the private key is actually pre-generated.
And they tell people, no, they don't keep the private keys. It's safe, right? And then many times, a few years later, when they sold all their inventory, they rugged the whole thing. They just steal everyone's Bitcoin and Litecoin from the coin.
We've seen several bad actors in this industry.
A lot,
coin
right?
makers,
a lot, in this industry. Yeah, so I mean, I have a few really pretty like Litecoin physical coins that have their Litecoin stolen from the creator.
Wow.
It's pretty sad because the coins they made are actually pretty cool. But yeah, so that's happened a few times, and not your keys, not your coins, right? That's kind of the philosophy we should go by. And for coins like BTCC and Cassasius and even like Lialana, their chances of them wrecking the coins is very, very small now because it's been so many years and they've been very honest. But all these new coin makers, you just can't trust them. But with two-factor key generation, the only thing you have to trust is that Bobby's company didn't screw it up, right? They didn't put the wrong passphrase with the wrong private key. They didn't, like, there has been any technical mistakes, and they follow their process where one key is generated in China, one key is generated in the US, and that never mingles, right?
Yes.
But so there's still a little bit of trust, but that's the case for anything. Even with hardware wallets, you have to trust Ledger did not put in a backdoor that they would send your private key to an external third party, right? There's been a lot of controversy with that these days. You have to trust that they didn't screw up, right? They built the hardware where it's not possible or really, really hard for someone to get access to your private key, even if they have the hardware device, or for some software to get access to the key when you plug in the hardware device into the computer. So you have to trust that they did their job correctly and they didn't screw you over. So even with hardware wallets, there's always trust is always needed. There's nothing is trustless, except unless if you like generate your own entropy, roll some dice, put everything in an air gap wallet. I mean, it's a trade-off between security and convenience. There's always a trade-off, right? You can go full hardcore and do all that, but it'll be like next to impossible to spend your coins. And even in that case, you could screw up. I've seen a lot of people screwing up themselves, and they would have been better off just putting their coins on an exchange like Coinbase. Of course, there's always risk, right? So yeah, I think the Ballet way of doing things is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ones.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. I want to just summarize the trust thing. I think a lot of geeks and industry diehards wrongly assume that crypto is trustless and there are trustless ways to store your coins. And and I would argue, Charlie, tell me if you agree, that there's really no trustless way to store crypto because if you really want to do it yourself, roll your own private key management, you still have to generate the public key and the deposit address. And with that, unless you use a computer, you have to trust the computer maker and the software. And if you do it, roll your own dice, you still need to do the algorithms to convert the dice rolls into the actual elliptical cryptography, the public keys and the private keys. Sorry, the public keys and the deposit address. And you need a slide rule. You need a calculator. But if you don't do a calculator, you need a slide rule. And you can't. If you're going to buy the slide rule, you're trusting someone. So do you sort of make your own slide rule? So it's really this
Yeah,
never-ending,
back in the day,
never-ending quest, right?
when I first got into Bitcoin, um, the way I did my private key was I used a website called bitaddress.org. And basically you can download the code for the
JavaScript.
website, yeah, to your computer, have an air gap computer. Of course, you have to like look at the code to make sure that it's not doing anything weird. The other thing is you can't really know if the entropy generation is great, because there's always stories about if you don't put enough entropy or there's some bug with the random generator that it can be easily guessed. Assuming all that's good, you generate a key, and then you go to like print it, right? You need to print out your paper wallet. Then you have to be worried about the printer having some malware that will send all your copies somewhere else. So you need an air gap printer, and then even if after printing, it might store your copy in cache. So you can't sell that printer because whoever buys your old printer might have a copy of your private keys. So you can like take a hammer and like destroy your printer afterwards. So
Yeah.
it's not easy to generate your own keys safely.
Yeah, so I want to add a real life story to this. Bitaddress.org, just like Charlie, I've been using it for almost, I think almost 10, 12 years, right?
Yeah.
It's a really old website. It's still running. And I can tell you a true story, which is bitaddress.org, the JavaScript HTML that's in there is actually buggy at points in time.
Oh yeah.
And I actually encountered a bug many years ago where it gave me the private key and then encode the private key. And then later I could not decode it. And because it was a quirk in the Macintosh Safari browser, where only a certain version of a browser could replicate the bug and decode it, whereas the generic stuff didn't. So after creating, let's say 100 of them, like one address out of 100 or 500 did not work, could not decode it. So my point is, even if something is open source and made public, it doesn't guarantee that it's bug free. So this is something people make the mistake of assuming, oh, if it's open source, it must be secure. It must be, no, you still have to trust it. Okay. So I'm proud to say
And you
for
still
Ballet,
couldn't decrypt it, right? You still have
no,
this address.
in the end, Charlie, I told you a story. This is back in the BTC China days. We had this emergency where it was actually Litecoin.
Yeah.
We had some Litecoin locked in an address that we couldn't decrypt, even though we had the data. So we had to, the story was, this is the first time I'm sharing this, we had to go find a very old Macintosh computer that's 2013 vintage and run an old version of the Mac OS and had to run an old version of the Safari that was not the most up to date. And finally, I worked with my co-founder and we were able to, using that specific version of Safari on that specific version of Mac OS, running that specific old version of the bitaddress.org.
Well, it was light address,
it was
right?
the light address, not bit address, light address for Litecoin.
So
and then we're able to, it ran the same bug and it was able to decode it. And finally, I was sweating bullets, and finally we were able to recover the funds for that. It was really like crazy stuff. Okay, so all this experience that I've had over the last 10, 12 years allowed me to create Ballet. And I'm proud to say that in Ballet's 4-year history, we have not had any loss of user funds, no hacking, no loss of coins due to technical mistakes or bugs. All our products are non-electronic. Okay, so there's no moving parts, no battery issues, no power issues, no Bluetooth, USB, no configuration. It's all dead solid here as a card. It's human readable, so it's vision based, right? You don't need a microscope or any to scan the chips and get the data out. So I'm really proud. And the best of all is because it's so easy to use, we don't have any dumb user mistakes where people screw up and lose access to their coins. And of course, no hacking as well. So so if you buy the Litecoin blocks, if you put coins on Ballet cold storage, I'm proud to say that you will have your coins will be safe, right?
Yeah. Speaking of that, I just remembered one of the some OG stories. One of the reason why it took you a long time to get into Bitcoin, or a little bit longer than right away, is because of this issue, right? I remember back in 2011 when I found out about Bitcoin, I think like within a week I emailed you and said you should look into this. This is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, that's right.
And you were hesitant because you were concerned about this.
The private key, how to store
right?
it safely. Yep. How to store. And I've told the story a lot. I've told the story. I actually, for myself, to my financial detriment compared to Charlie, is I actually postponed and delayed my purchase of Bitcoins in 2011, 2012, because I was too geek and I didn't yet figure out a good enough way to store private keys and store my coins. And yeah, I mean, back then, Charlie, you can attest, the Bitcoin client didn't even have encrypted wallet files, right? It was just plain text files. And a lot of stories of malware back in those days, just attacking the wallet.dat file and just yanking it and stealing the coins in there.
Yeah, if your computer is infected by malware, they can easily steal your Bitcoins. But back then, Bitcoin wasn't really worth that much. So, yeah.
But even then, people had maybe tens or hundreds of dollars worth of Bitcoin stolen. That's devastating, right?
Yeah, and that's
because
why people kept most of their coins on exchanges, because it's just hard to secure themselves.
Yeah. And the funny story is, even exchanges kept Bitcoins on other exchanges. So so I operated. I started BTC China in the very, very early days. Some of BTC's China's coins were actually kept on Mt. Gox, and that might be an insider story that I haven't shared before. But soon after, I decided that we can't keep our coins on Mt. Gox, so we withdrew it. And this was in 2013, and luckily we did. And of course, Mt. Gox went bust in early 2014. And that's why we got away really lucky, both myself personally and BTC China. No one lost any funds due to the Mt. Gox implosion.
I can't believe you guys use Mt. Gox for your cold storage.
So yeah, I don't want to point fingers, but I'm sure BTC China in the early days, we were not the only ones who used other exchanges to store coins.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Like back then there were stories of an exchange getting hacked. And then we find out that another exchange was using that exchange for their storage, and they kind of went under because of some other exchange getting hacked. Yeah,
that's right. A lot of incestuous exchanges relying on other exchanges. A lot of those stories. Yeah. Yep. Good stuff. What else? Let's see. So how about this? Let's change the pace a little bit, Charlie. So tell us. You've been involved with Litecoin almost a dozen years, right? Coming up 12 years now, 12th birthday. How do you see all the people out there launching new coins, whether it's ICOs, IEOs, or just new chains and stuff like that? And compared to, what do you think is the secrets behind Litecoin's success? Maybe we've talked about this, but maybe we'll go into it just a little bit.
Yeah, so one thing that's different about Litecoin and for the most part Bitcoin is that there's no pre-mine, right? There's no pre-mine. There's no pre-mine. It's launched fairly. So I've definitely talked about this many times. When the day I launched it, I made it so as fair as possible. It was free for all, right? Anyone can mine Litecoin. Anyone can be one of the early miners and jump in and mine the initial blocks. I had one computer, maybe two. Actually don't remember if I had two computers, but it was just mining blocks just like anyone else, right? And it was
so meaning that you
fun.
as a creator did not have a head start. You did not
Yeah.
allocate a stash for yourself, and you pre-announced the start date, so it's not like you were first to go to hit the buffet line, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's like Charlie created the buffet and announced that it's going to start on a certain day, and you just got in line with the rest of the people who want to have the buffet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an advantage over anyone else. My friends and family didn't have an advantage.
Yeah, in fact, I can tell you, I didn't, you did, Charlie, you didn't even tell me, right? So I didn't know until years later that, until years later that you started Litecoin. I mean, we could talk about that story.
It was maybe like a year later, you finally realized I was the one behind Litecoin.
Yeah, because I'll tell you the funny story. Because at one point, I forgot what day, what month, what year, but Charlie said, "Oh, yeah, I'm the creator of the Litecoin." At the time I sort of heard about Litecoin as one of the more popular altcoins out there. And when Charlie said that to me, I thought he must have been one of the programmers on the team of people who was behind Litecoin, because I didn't study Litecoin very much. I didn't know the part of it. And then when Charlie clarified, like he's the creator, he's the founder. And that's when I'm like, what, really? So that's when I looked into it. And sure enough, Charlie, at the time your username was Cobbly, right? Cobbly, is that right? Did I remember correctly? Was that your sort of handle? Yeah, yep. Cobbly. Tell us the history of Cobbly.
Well, I just picked the username, right? My initials are CBL, so I just added a vowel, and that's all.
But isn't that related to Chocobo Lee back in the MIT days? Chocobo?
No, I don't think it's not related. No.
Okay. I remember your MIT username was Chocobo at MIT.edu.
Yep.
Pokemon character.
It's not a Pokemon character. It's a Final Fantasy character.
What is it? Oh, sorry. Final Fantasy character. Sorry about that.
What was I saying? So back in the day when I created it, I didn't expect anything to come out of Litecoin. So that's why I didn't tell anyone, right?
Yeah,
I would have told you buy Litecoin.
Yeah, if you're trying to scam people, you get the promotion out and tell everyone.
Yeah, tell all my friends and family.
Go buy some, go mine. Yeah.
It was just a fun side project that was just for fun. And but yeah, one thing I made sure was that it was fair, because even back then, before Litecoin, there were about a dozen altcoins that were mined with pre-mine. Pre-mining was pretty common. I mean, even
back
now.
In those days, yeah, even now.
So, I just tried to make it as fair as possible. I copied Bitcoin and how Satoshi did things, and one of the hardest things about Litecoin is actually how to figure out how to mine the Genesis block, because there's no everything else is public except for how to mine the Genesis block. Satoshi didn't really tell anyone how he mined the Genesis block, so it's a little bit tricky. It's not simple.
Well, tell so this part I don't even know. Tell me what do you mean by that? It's a little bit tricky and special. The Genesis block. I know there's that Genesis, that inscription in there. What do you call it? The data that's in there. In your case, for Litecoin, it was about Steve Jobs passing away, right? Something like that.
Yeah. So the idea of that
October of 2011. October 2011. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea of that message, Satoshi put a Times article headline in it, is to kind of is to date stamp that initial block, right? Well, you don't
prove to people that it did not happen before that day.
Yeah, because you don't want to say, oh, the first block was actually from 4 years ago. I've been mining like by myself for 4 years, and then I launched it, right? So to kind of date stamp the initial block. So at that time, one of the biggest news was Steve Jobs passing, and that was and I just put that headline article into Litecoin's first block. So what was hard was just coming out of the kind of reverse engineering the code to mine the initial block. So it's a little bit different from normal mining. I actually don't remember exactly what the difference is, but I had to run my computer for, I think, like a day or two before it generated the first block.
Is it because you have to sort of guess at it to find
Yeah,
that combination?
it's similar to normal mining, right? You have to guess
Yeah.
at it until you find a low enough hash, less than a certain
That
value.
qualifies. Yeah.
And then the way I did it is I took that block. It wasn't announced. It was only the hash of the block is in the code. So if you download the code before launch, if you download the code, you can kind of mine. You can test your mining or your computer mining, but you can't really mine on the actual block because the block wasn't actually announced. And then at launch, I announced the hash of the block, and then you can start mining on the real chain. So so it's technically it's not simple to do this fair launch, but for the end user, it's very simple. They just download the client, they start mining testnet blocks. At launch, they put in a new like parameter configuration, and it'll start mining the actual real chain.
Cool. And then it was 500 blocks per day, right? So it went pretty fast building up.
Yeah, initially because the difficulty is low, there was a lot of blocks. There's a lot of like so normally for like even for Bitcoin every 2 weeks so for Bitcoin it's every 2 weeks there's a difficulty change, right? It can go up or down, and for Litecoin it's a quarter of that time. So every 2.5 days, or sorry, 3.5 days, the difficulty will change. So initially, because of all the people who started mining Litecoin at the same time, there's like thousands of people, the difficulty changed quite a bit. So it got harder and harder to mine until it kind of settles down.
Good. Very good. So let's do this. I know this is a live stream, so we actually have some users through comments asking some questions. Let me just go through a few. Some of these we already covered, but we could sort of patch up and fill in some details. So one of the first questions that we selected was, how did we get into crypto originally? For example, when and why did Charlie inform Bobby about Bitcoin, and how did the conversation unfold? So we all know that Charlie got into Bitcoin first. Charlie, I don't know if you remember what month of 2011. And so how did you get into it? And then people are asking, why did you inform me? How and why did you inform me? When and why? And how did the conversation unfold from your perspective?
I think I got into Bitcoin April of 2011. I remember reading like a Slashdot article. I think it was Slashdot.
Which was from late 2010, right? The Slashdot article came out.
It was a
Wired magazine.
It was an article on Silk Road, and how Bitcoin was the only payment method that Silk Road accepted. And then I looked into Bitcoin. I printed out the white paper. I actually printed out the white paper, put it on the side, like my to-do pile, and left it there for like a couple of weeks before I finally got to it. And once I read it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So thankfully I got to it, and then just like leave it there forever, which tends to happen sometimes. And then I bought my first Bitcoin. I bought a Bitcoin it was $30 when I bought my first Bitcoin. That was at that time was a peak. It was a peak.
Sorry, that was in 2011 or 2000?
2011.
Okay. So I didn't buy any Bitcoin in 2011 myself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you tell me about it? Why did you tell me about it? People are curious.
I told you about it like pretty quickly, maybe like within the first week. I sent you an email saying that that's right. You should look into this. I even said this is like investing in Google pre-IPO, and you would kick yourself if you didn't do it. And you didn't believe me.
I wouldn't say I didn't believe you. I did, right? I mean, I got into it, maybe not as fast as you did.
Yeah.
I remember buying mining video cards from you and started mining in Shanghai.
Yeah. So Bitcoin was like $30 back then. And I said, like, it's going to 100x. It's going to hit $5,000 within 10 years. I think I said that. So it actually, and that was a crazy prediction, right? Having something go up
Of
100x
course.
in 10 years is silly. It's stupid. So you didn't believe me. And it actually blew away my prediction, like by quite a bit.
Yes.
So it did better than my like most craziest prediction back then.
Yeah. So what did you use to mine your first Bitcoin? So we both got into mining Bitcoin. You obviously earlier before I did in 2011. So maybe share some of your history of mining Bitcoin, getting involved in Bitcoin.
Yeah, sure. So back then, Bitcoin was already GPU mined. So using the CPU, you wouldn't be able to mine anything. Actually, there was a website, I think it was like bitcoinplus.com, where it will use your CPU to, you go to the website and it'll run something in the background and will use your CPU to mine Bitcoin. And you got like nothing out of it. It's easier to actually go to your Bitcoin faucet to get some Bitcoins. So I bought what I did was I found someone online that was, I traded some gold coins for a Bitcoin mining rig. I think it was like 10 American Eagles for like, the guy was building mining rigs. So this is how I started mining. I just bought a rig from him. It was basically a computer, a bare bones computer with some graphics cards. This was the first time I kind of started mining, was with, I think 2 or 4 graphics card inside a computer. All the computer did was just mine Bitcoin, create a lot of heat, create a lot of noise. Yeah, that was the first
And
time I
did you,
started
and was
mining
that
Bitcoin.
solo mining? Was it solo mining or was it a mining pool? Do you
It was a
remember?
mining pool. Yeah, solo mining was already very, very hard. You couldn't mine a block for like months. So I joined a mining
Yeah.
pool. Yeah, it's not any pool that exists today. All the mining pools back then were different. So I started mining that way, and then eventually I started building my own computer mining rig. I bought graphics card from eBay, or even like I bought from someone local. And back then, like you go to like Fry's or any electronic shop, like graphics, you can't find any graphics card. A lot of them were they're either like used by gamers, and most of them are actually used by Bitcoin miners.
Yes,
And
exactly.
yeah, the specific kind of graphic cards that mine Bitcoin is actually impossible to find. And so I bought them used for like $300 a card.
Yep.
And I think the card
Very,
sold for
they're
like,
the basically the market price was quite high for used cards at that time in
yeah, I
2011.
think the card itself was sold for like $100 new. And back when it first came out. So the person I bought it from was incredulous. He was like, why would you pay $300 for my used GPU? He didn't know anything
And
about
he was
Bitcoin.
just a gamer, right? He was
He was
not
just a
into.
gamer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah. And the same thing happened. Let me just interrupt. And I was in Shanghai at the time. I bought some of my first graphics cards from my brother, from Charlie. I remember those were ATI 970s or something like that, or 770s. They each mined about 200 mega hashes, 220 mega hashes per card. And at the same time, I was buying more cards in Shanghai, and I went to all these computer stores. They didn't have Fry's Electronics or anything like that in China, but went to these local computer stores. And each one I went to, they would tell me, "Oh, they just sold out yesterday." So there was some guy or some person or some people that was buying these cards just a few days ahead of me, and I was always sad and pissed off that I just missed it by a day or two. And the other thing that was going on is back then, mobile SIM cards for smartphone, for pre-smartphone days, or I guess it's smartphones, yeah, 2011. So people were able to hack and create and sort of copy SIM cards, also using these graphics cards to hash, and not hash, but to calculate the special code for the GSM SIM cards. And they were also using these cards. So competing of hackers trying to hack the mobile SIM cards, and maybe Bitcoin miners and maybe gamers. So a lot of demand for graphics cards back then, that year.
yeah, I mean, building your own mining rig is quite, it's, I mean, if you like that kind of stuff, it's quite fun, right? I remember like I had to buy special kind of risers because trying to fit 4 large graphics card into a motherboard is not possible. So you kind of have to stagger it. Some of them have to be like kind of higher
lower,
with like risers. And then they would overheat. You have to make sure you want to overclock them, but not too much, so that you kind of want to maximize the amount of hashing they do, but not kill it too soon. So it's very technical. It's not easy these days. You can just buy like
extra
an
power
ASIC,
supplies.
right? Yeah, you have to use well, if you want to save on electricity costs, you have to use special power supplies that like a 220 volt or something. You may want to set up like your own, upgrade your electricity at home to support that. And of course, like mining in California is dumb because the electricity rate in California is very high.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really doing it for it wasn't a business. It was more for fun.
Yeah, more for fun.
Yeah. So it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I remember, Charlie, we got together and bought one of the first ASIC miners from oh gosh, what was the name of it?
Butterfly Labs.
Well, you got the Butterfly Lab. There's the other one that we got in China. Was it Avalon? I think it was Avalon. Yeah.
And even these mining manufacturers,
they
run people. Well, they would pre-mine, right? So not pre-mine. They would build a device and mine for themselves for
a few months before they ship it to the user.
Before they send you a used device.
That's terrible. It was terrible.
So when the difficulty goes up, they would send it to you when it's not as profitable anymore. And some of these mining manufacturers you have to pre-order, right? So you have to pay them Bitcoin in advance, and then they may not come out with the product, and eventually they just disappear and steal all your money.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible. It was a lot of scams. A lot of people lost money.
It's the Wild West of crypto back then. But it was fun. Yeah.
Good. Let's see. So one question was about. Let me ask this one first. It's for Charlie. Okay, for you. How do you feel about the revival of the Chiqun, CHIKUN? I don't know how to pronounce it. The Chiqun meme. And do you feel that it can benefit LTC in terms of marketing and essentially having another community attached to LTC? Is it Chiqun? CHIKUN?
I assume I'm guessing it's a token, like a Dogecoin kind of meme token.
I see.
I'm guessing someone's trying to punt their token.
All right, we can move on then. Let's see if we have any more questions coming in. Let's review. So how can people buy the Litecoin block reward cards, the Ballet's Litecoin block cards that's coming up in later August or September?
I will announce that later. But it should be very simple for people to be able to purchase them.
Yeah, so follow Charlie on Twitter, at Satoshi Light. I guess it's now called X. Follow Charlie on X, Twitter, or Twitter. What's the new name for it?
Okay, that was I don't get this rebrand. It's pretty dumb in my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's maybe we don't want to go off topic, but that's a weird thing that happened last few days.
It's one way to destroy billions of dollars
of value, right? Of brand value,
of brand capital. Yeah.
I
don't know.
Okay, so follow Charlie on what was previously known as Twitter, at Satoshi Light, and I'm sure you'll also announce it at the Litecoin.net website, right?
Yeah. Litecoin Foundation Twitter account will also announce it. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. You already have the cards, right? You already made them. Is that correct?
Yes. So the status is, let me give you an update. If you don't mind, I can share with the world. So these are, we have these, and I can, part of it is to share with you the manufacturing process. So these are 500 cards that Charlie has custom ordered from Ballet. These are pure silver. Each card is 50 grams, and 500, that's, it's 25 kilograms of silver the cards themselves were made and sourced in China. And then the sticker part is done in China. So all that data has been deleted. The sticker was applied to the card, and those 500 cards, 25 kilograms of pure silver, was properly exported out of China, and we had to pay duties and all that, and imported into the United States. So that came over in I'm trying to think. I think in early this month, in early and mid July, And since then, we did the second part of the manufacturing, which is we laser etched the passphrase entropy on the bottom, and we covered it up with the scratch off. So that's been all done. They're all locked away at a special undisclosed location, very safe. So 25 kilograms of silver all locked away. And then what's going to happen is we're going to wait for the Litecoin halving for you guys to essentially the product's done, right? But now it's for you guys to mine the blocks into them, and then we'll then, based on your instructions, Charlie, we'll then laser etch the block height and the block value for each of the 500 cards. And then you're going to take them to PCGS, right? And talk about that.
Yeah. So they're all done and they're all sitting there right now, just waiting for the block half to happen in a week. Once that happens, Litecoin pool will start mining to those 500 addresses. You still need to give me those addresses.
Yes, we'll be giving them to you this week.
Yeah, and then once it's been mined, I'll tell you the blocks and stuff, and then you'll laser etch it onto the card.
Yep.
And then and then we'll send it to PCGS, which could take a month or two, depending on how
for them to do it, for them to slab it. Yeah.
Yeah, to turn that around, and then once that's done, we'll start selling them. And in terms of finance, I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but just like the last round of Litecoin block cards, I'm actually paying for the whole thing, all of it, myself as a donation to the Litecoin Foundation. So
awesome.
When you guys purchase it, all the funds will go straight to the Litecoin Foundation, but the cost of everything I've already paid for.
Excellent.
I've actually bought some Litecoins for this.
Oh yeah, you have to buy the Litecoins too.
Yeah, exactly. I bought them.
Are you also donating that?
Yeah, of course. I bought
right.
I bought Litecoin when it was about $100. So I'm losing a little bit of money right now. What was it? 6 was like 3,000 some Litecoins. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, 6 times 500, 3,000 Litecoins. Yeah, over 3,000.
Over 3,000 Litecoins. I have it sitting in my I think it's on the exchange. And just waiting to fund it. I'll pay Litecoin pool those Litecoins, and then they will mine Litecoin straight to the wallet.
Excellent. Are they excited to be part of this Litecoin pool?
Yeah, they are. I mean, I'm paying them a bit of some fees for this, right? So
excellent.
They'll make a little bit of money off of this, but they're definitely excited to support this. And they helped me with the previous one too.
Yes. And these are going to be really collectibles. So there's a limited number of them, and these are, once you have it in your hand, this is a genuine block of Litecoin reward. And as the Litecoin halvings happen, you'll never be able to get this much Litecoin in a block reward, right? After a few years.
I mean, look at you guys did the Bitcoin blocks, right?
Oh yeah. I have. In fact, I have one right here. This is a sample one. This is a Bitcoin block. The Bitcoin block was done differently. This is a 8 centimeter by 8 centimeter and 1 centimeter thick. And this is the Ballet version that we did 4 years ago or 3 years ago.
You didn't make them pure gold?
We did not. So this is I think this is titanium. This is titanium we did this at BTCC as well. So BTCC, back in the days when I ran BTCC had a division called BTCC Mint, and we made coins and poker chips all loaded with Bitcoin, and we made Bitcoin blocks. We did it after 1 halving, after 2 halving, and after 3 halving. So we had 25 BTC blocks, we had 12.5 BTC blocks, and we had 6.25 BTC blocks. Or sorry, BTC was only 2. It was 25 and 12.5. And then at Ballet, we had 12.5 and 6.25. Yeah.
I assume you're going to
crazy stuff
after the Bitcoin halving also.
We'll see. I mean, it's great. I mean, next year after the halving will be 3 Bitcoins, and that's like $100,000. So
that's a lot of money. Yeah,
that's a lot of money. That's like the price of a car, right? But if you had one of these from BTCC, this is like $250,000 or even more, right? It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. So the Litecoin ones will be more affordable. I think they're better since they're silver also. But it's gonna be fun.
Just a correction. So if you had a BTCC mint Bitcoin block with 25 Bitcoins, it will be $750,000. That's just a face value. That's not even counting a premium. So these are $1 million blocks if people have them.
Yeah.
And there are only so many of them made, right? And you can't mine them anymore.
Yeah. You also have one with a double reward.
Yeah, there was one that was there was an error block we mined it into that twice with 50 BTC, 50 and change. So that's
so it's
crazy
because
amount.
so it's interesting because back then you also had your own pool, BTCC pool, and you were
Yes,
using that
yes.
to
We
mine
were
yourself.
lucky. My business, we had a BTCC mining pool, and we're able to take advantage of that to make BTCC mint products because we use a mining pool to mine the fresh coins straight into our products.
And
yes.
The reason why there's one with a double block is because you found two blocks really quickly, one after the other, right? And you didn't have time
The way it's basically the way it works. Just to share some insight is we would create the products first, have the deposit address already in the file, and we would tell all the mining pool machines as soon as you find a block, send it to this series of this single one address. And then when that's done, we tell the mining pool machines to go point to a different one. And due to a race condition timing error, once in a while, if two blocks come out too fast and we don't have enough time to update all the software with a new configuration file, there might be an error where it will go to the same address twice. And it's happened on several occasions. And unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you see it, one of the blocks got double mined. Yeah. So that was sold in auction, I think. I don't even know who has it, but someone out there has a block that has 50 BTCs on it. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. So those BTCC blocks it's just a private key under the hologram, right? It's not two-factor.
Yeah, those are single factor, but the Ballet blocks are two-factor.
So yeah. I think everyone wants to know, when are you going to rug them?
Of course not. So I'm proud to say, and tell me if you guys believe me, I'm proud to say that all the data for the BTCC mint, all the coins or the blocks or the poker chips, all the data has since been deleted. The printer machines have all been destroyed and stuff like that. So I'm very, very confident that those products will stay safe. And I myself have a few, right? So my vested interest is that the products that I'm keeping don't lose value because of the integrity of the products. So I've been sleeping well at night. I'm not worried about that.
Great.
Yeah, good. All right. Any final topics, Charlie? I know we've been on for a little over an hour. I really want to thank you for coming on. This is, I think, our first sort of joint podcast, fireside chat. It's good to chat with you, obviously, and also good to do it in front of a live audience. And we recorded this, so it'll be on my podcast recorded. It'll come on. People can view the recording afterwards. Any final things to add, Charlie? Any message to the community?
No, I'm excited about the Litecoin halving. I think I'm gonna be doing another live stream with during the Litecoin halving. I'll see if I'm awake. Well, I guess I'll make sure I'm awake, depending on what time it is. But yeah, that'll be fun. And then I hope to see everyone at the Litecoin cruise. And
yes.
Yeah, stay tuned for more information about the Litecoin blocks.
Excellent. Okay, so go find more information about the Litecoin blocks and the Litecoin cruise in October on litecoin.net. And you can find Charlie on previously known as Twitter at Satoshi Light. That's the handle name. Okay, thank you, everyone. Great to have you guys all on the Bobby Lee Bitcoin show. And see you again next time, okay? Bye-bye.
Bye.